Hello students and welcome back. Students, today we are going to go through the last and final installment of the chapter Indigo. But before taking up the text, let's go through the small poem which is entitled as Empathy. Let me hold the door for you. I may have never walked a mile in your shoes, but I can see that your soles are worn and your strength is torn under the weight of a story I have never lived before. So let me hold the door for you. After all you have walked through, it's the least I can do. These lines clearly picture a leader who is there to hold the door when the teammates, the members are trying hard to win, to conquer, to come out of fear and learn courage. Gandhi was a leader who was holding the door, showing the way to the common people. Let's get back to the text. Up until now, we came to know that how Gandhi went to the small place Champaran and he wasn't arrested for his civil disobedience, and that shows that the amount of popularity he had among the people, and this popularity definitely made the British officials and the judiciary completely afraid of him. Well, Gandhi's prominence as a leader is also shown in the way he took the entire team together. He made the lawyers realize their mistakes, and that is how he started working on the main problem, which was the complaints filed by the sharecroppers. There were many protests against that, but he never gave away and decided to file the complaints, and as a result a commission was set up. Now, as far as the commission was concerned, it itself was quite unjustified, as there were members from the side of the officials, the landlords, but from the side of the sharecroppers, there was only one representative, and that was Gandhi. But still, let us see whether Gandhi could succeed or not, whether the sharecroppers could succeed or not, whether the team succeeds or not. So, let's get started with the text. Gandhi remained in Champaran for an initial uninterrupted period of 7 months and then again for several shorter visits. The visit, undertaken casually on the entreaty of an unlettered peasant in the expectation that it would last a few days, occupied almost a year of Gandhi's life. So, this shows the dedication of a leader, that though he came there to solve the problem, but it could not get sorted out so easily. That is why an entire year was consumed and he was there. Even if he wasn't there, he was actively participating in each and every activity. And it was a very small complaint. Entreaty is complaint of an unlettered peasant. Unlettered is one who is not influential or prominent, not so important. Well, the official inquiry assembled a crushing mountain of evidence against the big planters, and when they saw this, they agreed, in principle, to make refunds to the peasants. But how much must we pay? They asked Gandhi. Now, because there was crushing mountain of evidence against the big planters, the British landlords, it was very clear that once the commission is done, it would be very clear in front of everyone that how many mistakes they committed, and that is why they instantly agreed to give back the money. But they did not want to give the entire amount. After all, they always treated themselves as the masters and the Indian peasants as the servants, so they did not want to give in or surrender in front of their servants. Well, they thought he would demand repayment in full of the money which they had illegally and deceitfully extorted from the sharecroppers. He asked only 50%. There he seemed adamant. Adamant is firm. Gandhi was very firm that 50% amount should be given back. Writes Reverend J. Z. Hodge, a British missionary in Champaran who observed the entire episode at close range. Thinking probably that he would not give way, the representative of the planters offered a refund to the extent of 25%, and to his amazement, Mr. Gandhi took him at his word, thus breaking the deadlock. So, Gandhi surprisingly agreed to the 25% money to be given back. Now, that was surprising because the peasants, the poor peasants, financially poor peasants, must get the 100% money back. And why Gandhi agreed to only 25%, only one fourth? Everybody asked the same question. Now let us see what Gandhi had to say. This settlement was adopted unanimously by the Commission. Gandhi explained that the amount of the refund was less important than the fact that the landlords had been obliged to surrender part of the money and, with it, part of their prestige. Therefore, as far as the peasants were concerned, the planters had behaved as lords above the law. Now the peasant saw that he had rights and defenders. He learned courage. So when Gandhi as a leader is being talked about, he had a vision. And the vision was not only about getting the money back, it was about making the common people learn courage, that they had their rights as human beings, as Indian nationals, and there are people who would defend them. See, we are living in a democracy. People fight against the government too. State against this and that. You might have heard about it. Why are we so confident? Because we know our rights and we know that there are defenders who will fight for us. This makes us courageous enough to speak against the ruling party, the government itself. And Gandhi wanted that from the people. He wanted the people to learn courage. The amount which was refund was not important, whether it was 25% or 50%, no. After all, the British landlords gave away their prestige with that. They always treated the Indians like servants, and now they had to return the money to them, which they illegally extorted. And that is how the common people learned everything that was necessary for them to be responsible and courageous citizens. So this is how Gandhi's vision proved to be correct. So when Gandhi was living in Champaran, he was taking care of these political affairs, the sharecroppers problem. But he never was the leader who was always talking about politics and finance. His major concern was people, the common human beings who suffer from common problems: sanitation, cleanliness, medical issues, education, social stigmas, the condition of women, the condition of children. He was concerned about them. He wanted a nation where the people should all be equal and educated and healthy. And that is why during his stay in Champaran, he focused on all these areas too. So let us see what he did. Events justified Gandhi's position. Within a few years, the British planters abandoned their estates, which reverted to the peasants, which were given back to the peasants. Indigo sharecropping disappeared. Gandhi never contented himself with large political or economic solutions. He saw the cultural and social backwardness in Champaran villages and wanted to do something about it immediately. He appealed for teachers. Mahadev Desai and Narhari Parekh, two young men who had just joined Gandhi as disciples, and their wives volunteered for the work. Several more came from Bombay, Pune, and other distant parts of the land. Devdas, Gandhi's youngest son, arrived from the ashram, and so did Mrs. Gandhi. Now, this quote is quite important. It should be placed here. Great leaders don't set out to be a leader. They set out to make a difference. It's never about the role, always about the goal. So Gandhi's goal was always that people should learn courage. So it doesn't matter if it was only 25% of agreement. Moving forward. Primary schools were opened in 6 villages. Kasturbai taught the ashram rules on personal cleanliness and community sanitation. Kasturbai, Gandhi's wife, and people would always call her as Ba. Health conditions were miserable. Gandhi got a doctor to volunteer his services for 6 months. 3 medicines were available: castor oil, quinine, and sulfur ointment. Anybody who showed a coated tongue was given a dose of castor oil. Anybody with malaria fever received quinine plus castor oil. Anybody with skin eruptions received ointment plus castor oil. So he had only basics with him, and the doctors had the basic ointments and medicines with them. but they tried to provide the basic first aid or basic medication to the people of Champaran suffering from fever or malaria or other such diseases. So he was concerned about the people's education, health conditions. Gandhi noticed the filthy state of women's clothes. He asked Kasturbai to talk to them about it. One woman took Kasturbai in her hut and said, "Look, there is no box or cupboard here for clothes. The sari I am wearing is the only one I have. And this shows the poor condition of the women, the financial status of the people. They had not much with them." Well, during his long stay in Champaran, Gandhi kept a long distance watch on the ashram. He sent regular instructions by mail and asked for financial accounts. Once he wrote to the residents that it was time to fill the old latrine trenches and dig new ones, otherwise the old ones would begin to smell bad. And today when we talk about Swachh Bharat Mission, this shows that Gandhi was always concerned about cleanliness and community sanitation. Well, coming to the very important part, the Champaran episode being the turning point in Gandhi's life. The Champaran episode was a turning point in Gandhi's life. What I did, he explained, was a very ordinary thing. I declared that the British could not order me about in my own country. Such a simple statement, and it conveys such an important message. After all, he was an Indian, not an outsider in Champaran. British were the ones who were the outsiders. So the British could not order him about where he should go or whether he should leave or not. And that is why he decided to go for civil disobedience, going against the government who came from outside. But Champaran did not begin as an act of defiance. It grew out of an attempt to alleviate the distress of large number of poor peasants. This was the typical Gandhi pattern. His politics were intertwined with the practical day-to-day problems of the millions. His was not a loyalty to abstractions. It was a loyalty to living human beings. So Gandhi, a leader, a political leader as we call him, was not only associated with political problems. He was more associated with the people, the living human beings. And he used to work with them. He used to teach them how to do their daily chores all by themselves, become self-reliant, not depend on others. He himself participated in all such activities without shame, and that is how he inspired others. In everything Gandhi did, moreover, he tried to mold a new free Indian who could stand on his own feet and thus make India free. Early in the Champaran action, Charles Freer Andrews, the English pacifist who had become a devoted follower of the Mahatma, came to bid Gandhi farewell before going on a tour of duty to the Fiji Islands. Gandhi's loyal friends, here we have Mr. Charles Freer Andrews. He's in a suit, as you can see, beside Gandhi. He was quite an influential man, a pacifist who did not believe in war, and an ardent follower of Gandhi. He tried to provide some support, but Gandhi completely declined it. Gandhi's loyal friends thought it would be a good idea for Andrews to stay in Champaran and help them. Andrews was willing if Gandhi agreed, but Gandhi was vehemently opposed. He said, "You think that in this unequal fight it would be helpful if we have an Englishman on our side. This shows the weakness of our heart. The cause is just, and you must rely upon yourself to win the battle. You should not seek a prop in Mr. Andrews because he happens to be an Englishman." So according to Gandhi, there was no need to include anybody from the outside. This was their battle, the battle of the common people. They must be confident about their own unity and their own cause, which was absolutely just. And that is why he declined the help provided by Mr. Andrews. He had read our minds correctly, Rajendra Prasad comments, and we had no reply. Gandhi in this way taught us a lesson in self-reliance. Self-reliance, Indian independence, and help to sharecroppers were all bound together. So when he was helping the sharecroppers, he was teaching them to be self-reliable. And when he taught people, not only in Champaran but in the entire nation, how to become self-reliable, he was teaching them to be independent. So that later, when India finally succeeds in getting independence, they would be not dependent on others, be courageous and be free from fear also. And as you know that Gandhi used to make his own clothes, prepare his own clothes with the help of charkha, and charkha is the symbol of self-reliance, that you have to prepare your own clothes and not depend on the British clothes. And to sum it all up, Gandhi was a man, multifaceted personality. He was a leader of masses. He was a brilliant political figure. He cared for the people. And that is why he always said that you must be the change you wish to see in the world. And he participated in every activity actively. And I would like to close this chapter with this quotation. Men often become what they believe themselves to be. If I believe I cannot do something, it makes me incapable of doing it. But when I believe I can, then I acquire the ability to do it, even if I didn't have it in the beginning. So, Rajkumar Shukla, poor sharecroppers, the lawyers, other people, everybody participated as a team under the able leadership of a great man, a simple man, and a simple human being, Gandhi. So let's bid adieu to this brilliant chapter and remember the lesson associated with it. I thank you again for listening to me.